Hey guys, this is Miss Smith. We're going to go ahead and go through the Q26 spiral review and homework to make sure you are following along as I go through these with you. All right, starting on Monday, we have our word list, just like we did with last week's paper. So make sure you use these words to answer the questions in this first row and in this second row. So on the second box for Monday, it says which word means to put or set down in a specific place. If I look at this list of words, the only one I see that makes sense for this definition is going to be the word deposit. Next one, we are asked to label the parts of speech for each underlined word. Your sentence says, they say Maniac McGee was born in a dump. All right, so the first one is the word they. I know that they would be an example of a pronoun. Born is going to be an action, so that we know is going to be a verb. Now, if I have in, everyone should get this one correct since we have just focused on prepositions. In is telling you where he was born. In is a preposition. The next box says, write an antonym for the underlined word. He was born in a pretty ordinary house. Now, if something is ordinary, I know that that's just going to be very common, something very plain. So if I'm looking for an antonym, I know that I need to find a word that is the opposite. So I'm going to go with the word extraordinary. Oh, hold on. That should not be an I in there. All right, there we go. Extraordinary. All right, next one. Simile or metaphor, and what does it mean? So we have Cobble's knot was about as friendly as a nest of yellow jackets. All right, so I need to figure out if this is a simile or metaphor first. I see some key words here that let me know that this is going to be a simile. Now I need to figure out what this sentence means. Cobble's knot was about as friendly as a nest of yellow jackets. Well, we know that a yellow jacket is not going to be something that's very friendly. So I'm going to say Cobble's knot isn't friendly. Okay, next we need to expand the sentence. Jeffrey fell to his knees. So right now we have a very simple sentence. So there could be several different ways that you expand this. Remember, when we expand, we're just adding extra information. So I'm going to say Jeffrey quietly fell to his knees. Next, we are correcting the sentence by adding a comma. They say the history of a kid is 1 part fact, 2 parts legend, and 3 parts snowball. So we are talking about the different things describing a kid. So I know that we have 1 part fact, we have 2 parts legend, we have 3 parts snowball. So those are my different items we're using to describe. So I know I need a comma after fact and a comma after legend. On the last box for Monday, it says fill in the blank with the correct correlative conjunction. Neither my brother blank my sister like carrots. Now I know correlative conjunctions are going to be our conjunctions that come in pairs. I know if I see the word neither, the conjunction that comes with it is going to be nor. Okay, I'll pause for just a second and then we will move on to Tuesday. All right, the first box on Tuesday. Which words have a root that means to place or to put? Remember, we are looking at this word list right here. So if I look through these, I know that the word deposit is going to be one that would fit in this box. I also see the word compose. And I also see the word exposed. So these are the three that should be in this first box on Tuesday. Next one says, which word best completes the sentence? Make sure you aren't blank to the virus. Now again, we are looking at this list of words up here. So if we want to make sure you aren't blank to the virus, I think that word is going to be exposed. Okay, box number 3, which word or phrase best completes the sentence? One day his parents left him with a sitter. Blank, they took a high-speed trolley into the city. All right, so we are looking at what is taking place in these two sentences. We know that this person is being left with a babysitter. We know that in this sentence, the parents are going on a high-speed trolley to the city. So if we look at nevertheless, consequently, and next, if I look at these sentences, nevertheless really doesn't make much sense. So I can go ahead and mark that one out. If I have consequently, I'm not talking about a consequence here. So I don't really think I need to use that one either. So that leaves me with the word next. Let's see if that makes sense. One day his parents left him with a sitter. Next, they took a high-speed trolley into the city. All right, that one does sound like it is correct. On the next box, it says, write the homograph that completes both sentences. Number 1, my mom gets home from work later in the blank. Then number 2, the barber tried to make my hair straight by blank out the ends. All right, so my mom gets home from work later in the, all right, so we know that usually people come home from work at some time in the afternoon or at night. Now, if we're trying to make your hair straight and we're looking at the ends, you're going to need to even the ends of your hair out to make it all the same. We could also use the word evening to explain when mom is coming home from work. So in this case, we're going to use the word evening. So one is talking about at night. The second one is talking about making something even. Okay, what does the idiom mean? She has a heart of gold. If you say that someone has a heart of gold, it means that she is a kind person. On the next one, we need to combine the two sentences. Jeffrey fell to his knees. He looked at the books. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say Jeffrey fell to his knees because he looked at the books. So in this case, Jeffrey was walking down the hallway reading, not paying attention, and he ended up tripping and falling down because he was looking at the books instead of where he was walking. On this one, though, you could have corrected this in several different ways. This is just an example. So the next one, we are back to adding commas to make our sentence correct. It says the town, school, hallways, and lunchroom were all buzzing about the new kid in town. All right, so on this one, we have listed the places talking about this new student. So one of our places would be the town, the school, the hallways, and the lunchroom. So I need a comma after town, a comma after school, and a comma after hallways. Last box on Tuesday, we are working with correlative conjunctions again. Remember, these come in pairs. So our sentence says, either we are going to the party, blank, we are not. Now, I know if I have the word either as one of my conjunctions, the only word that would go with that is going to be or. Pause for just a second, and then we'll talk about Wednesday. All right, on Wednesday, which words have a root that means to sit or to settle? Okay, remember we are looking at this list right here from Monday. So I see the words session, reside, sedative, and I also see sediment. So make sure those 4 words are in this box for to sit or to settle. All right, second box, remember we are also using this word list up here. It says, which word means the solid matter that settles to the bottom of a liquid? Based on that definition, I know that I'm going to be using the word sediment. Label the parts of speech for each underlined word. They say his stomach was a cereal box and his heart a sofa spring. All right, so the first one we see is cereal. Now, I know that normally cereal is talking about the object. However, in this case, we are talking about the cereal box. So cereal is describing the box. If it is describing the box, I know this is going to be an adjective. And is our next word. We know that we are using and to combine 2 different things. We're combining this description of his stomach with this description of his heart. So in this case, and is going to be a conjunction. Next word that's underlined is his. We know that his is a pronoun. And then our last one is sofa. Now again, typically sofa is going to be an object or a thing, which is going to be a noun. However, we are describing the spring by saying it is a sofa spring. So just like cereal, in this case, sofa is an adjective as well. All right, which word could replace the underlined word? It says the answer was so obvious. Our choices are mysterious, clear, and confusing. Now, if we know something is obvious, we know that it's going to be something that you already know. It's easy to understand. So I don't really think mysterious makes much sense here. All right, clear sounds like it could be a good option, but let's check the next one just to make sure. Confusing. No, I don't think that confusing really makes much sense with something being obvious either. So in this case, we are going to choose clear. On the next box, we have another simile or metaphor and finding the meaning. It says, he heard a volcano of cheers. Now, if I look at this sentence, I don't see any of those keywords to let me know it's a simile. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one is a metaphor. Now, what does this mean? He heard a volcano of cheers. This is going to mean something like the volcano and the cheers were equally as loud. So basically you are just saying that the cheers were just as loud as it would be as if a volcano was erupting. Okay, next one we need to reduce the sentence. The books, so many books were all over the room and were so hard to look at because there were so many. Now I do see a typo here. That should be were. So let's go through and reduce this. Remember, when you are reducing, you are taking things out. You have too much information and you don't need all of it. So I'm going to look at this. I know that I want to keep the books because that's what my subject is. I don't really think I need so many books because I already know that there were books. were all over the room and were so hard to look at because there were so many. All right. So I'm going to change this to, we don't need all over the room because that's giving us extra information as well. All right, so now we're left with the books were so hard to look at because there were so many. So that makes much more sense. We know that there are books everywhere. It's hard to look at all of them because you have a ton of them spread all over the place. All right, correct the sentence by adding commas. When he wasn't reading, he was wandering, running, or walking around. So we're talking about the things he's doing when he's not reading. So I see wandering, I see running, and I see walking. So I'm going to put a comma after wandering and a comma after running. The last one is talking about correlative conjunctions again. So remember, these come in pairs. Blank Amanda nor her sister are going to school today. Now, if I have the conjunction nor, I know that I'm going to use the word neither. All right, I'll pause just a second and then we'll go to Thursday. All right, on Thursday, which words have a root that means to speak? So if I look back to my list from Monday, I know that I see the word dictionary. I see the word predict. And I see the word indictment. So make sure these three words are in the Thursday box. All right, which word best completes the sentence? Again, I'm looking back to this list on Monday. It says, I blank this book will be about a girl and her dog. Based on those words, I'm going to go ahead and use the word predict. I predict this book will be about a girl and her dog. Next one is asking us where we need to put a comma. As a result, Maniac was an orphan. All right, so I know that I need to put a comma after the word result. Should be as a result, comma, Maniac was an orphan. Next one says, which word can mean to go first and a type of metal? We have copper, starter, and lead. Okay, so copper we know is a type of metal, but it does not really mean anything about going first. So I'm going to mark this one out. Starter is our next word. Now, if someone is a starter, it means that they go first, but that's not going to be a type of metal. So that one doesn't work either. All right, now I have lead. Lead is a type of metal. If I pronounce this word as lead, that means to go first. So the same spelling, but different pronunciation. So in this case, it's going to be lead or lead. The next one is asking us, what does the adage or proverb mean? Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. All right, this one is basically telling us, don't count on something before it has actually happened. So don't count on something before it happens. Next one asks us to combine the sentences. So if you will notice, this is the same question that you had on Tuesday. However, because there are several different ways you could combine this, you need to give me a second example. So this time I'm going to change it and say, while looking at the books, Jeffrey fell to his knees. So again, like I said, this is the same question that we had on Tuesday. However, because you're combining these sentences, it can be done in multiple ways. So this way you see at least two examples of how these sentences can be combined. The next one, we are back to adding commas. It says, maniac wobbled once, leapt from the rail, and took off running. So we're talking about all the things that this person did. So I see wobbled once. I see leapt from the rail. I see took off running. So I need a comma after once and a comma after rail. Then our last box is back to correlative conjunctions. It says, blank, you apologize, or you are going to lose a friend. Now I know if I have the word or as part of my correlative conjunction pair, the other option is going to be either.